Every day, millions of Americans walk into Subway and order a sandwich they think is healthy. But what if that soft, fresh bread isn't legally allowed to be called bread in some countries? In 2020, Ireland's Supreme Court ruled that Subway's bread contains too much sugar to legally qualify as bread. That's right. By legal definition, it's closer to a dessert cake than a sandwich staple. So today, we're breaking down exactly what's inside Subway bread and what it actually does to your body. Most people assume fast food bread is simple: flour, water, yeast, salt. The truth is very different. Subway's bread recipe has contained over 15 ingredients, including sugar, preservatives, and dough conditioners. One of the most controversial ingredients was azoticarbonamide, a chemical also used to make yoga mats and shoe soles. This chemical was used to bleach the dough and make the bread look softer and whiter, faster. After public pressure in 2014, Subway removed azoticarbonamide from its U.S. bread formula. But removing one chemical doesn't mean the bread became simple or harmless. Let's look at the real science of what's still inside that soft sandwich roll. A 6-inch Subway roll can contain close to the same sugar as a chocolate chip cookie. Then there's soybean oil and dough conditioners, which extend shelf life but strip away nutritional simplicity. Enriched flour is another key player. It's wheat flour stripped of its natural fiber and nutrients, then artificially fortified. This means your body digests it fast, spiking blood sugar much like eating white sugar directly. That spike triggers a rapid insulin response, which is where the real story of Subway bread begins. So what actually happens inside your body when you eat this bread regularly? Let's follow the timeline. Within the first 24 hours, your blood sugar rises quickly, then crashes, leaving you hungry again sooner than expected. This blood sugar crash is one reason people feel hungry again just an hour or two after eating a sub sandwich. By day 7, if this bread becomes a daily habit, your gut microbiome starts to shift. Refined flour feeds different bacteria than whole grains do, often favoring strains linked to inflammation. By day 14, many people report subtle bloating and lower energy, especially in the afternoon. That's your body reacting to a repeated cycle of sugar spikes, crashes, and low fiber intake. By day 30, the pattern becomes clearer. Consistent refined carb intake is linked to steady, gradual weight gain. It's not one sandwich causing this. It's the accumulation of daily blood sugar spikes over a month. Each spike triggers insulin, and insulin's job is to store excess sugar as fat when it's not immediately used for energy. Over 30 days, that repeated storage signal adds up, even if the calorie count seems reasonable. This is why some people eating healthy sub-sandwiches daily still notice their waistline changing. Now here's where it gets interesting. The bread isn't the only issue on your tray. Sodium is another hidden factor. A single 6-inch sub can carry over 700 milligrams of sodium from the bread alone. Add cheese, sauce, and processed meat, and one sandwich can approach half your recommended daily sodium intake. Over time, excess sodium makes your body retain water, which is why some people feel puffier the day after eating fast food subs. Your kidneys work harder to filter that sodium, and your blood pressure can creep upward with repeated exposure. None of this shows up immediately, which is exactly why it's easy to underestimate. Let's talk about the biggest myth of all, that Subway bread is a healthy carb choice. The Subway Eat Fresh campaign built an image of clean, simple ingredients. But the ingredient panel tells a different story. Whole grain bread and white bread may look nutritionally different, but many Subway breads process almost identically in your body. That's because both are made from refined flour first, with whole grain flour added in smaller amounts for color and marketing. This doesn't mean whole grain options are worthless, but it does mean the health gap is smaller than most people assume. Another myth. Fresh baked means nutritious. Freshness refers to when it's baked, not what's in it. A sandwich can be baked minutes ago and still spike your blood sugar the same way a candy bar would. Myth 3. Low fat automatically means low calorie or low sugar. Subway bread is low in fat, but that's not the metric that matters here. Sugar and refined carbs, not fat, are driving most of the metabolic response we've covered in this video. So does this mean Subway is unhealthy across the board? Not exactly. The truth is more balanced than that. Choosing whole grain bread, doubling vegetables, and skipping sauces can significantly reduce the sugar and sodium impact. The real issue isn't Subway specifically. It's the broader fast food bread industry using similar formulas. Almost every commercial sandwich bread, from gas stations to grocery chains, uses some version of these same ingredients. Subway just happens to be the most visible example because of its size and its healthy branding. Let's break down exactly what one Subway meal does to your body across a single day, step by step. 20 minutes after eating, your blood sugar begins climbing as the refined flour breaks down into glucose almost immediately. 30 to 45 minutes in, insulin floods your bloodstream to manage that glucose surge. Around the 90-minute mark, blood sugar drops sharply, often below where it started. This is called reactive hypoglycemia, and it's the biological reason you feel tired or foggy an hour after lunch. Many people blame this fog on being busy or stressed, when it's actually a direct chemical response to the bread. 2 to 3 hours later, hunger returns, even though you just ate a full meal. This cycle explains why some people snack more on days they eat fast food sandwiches compared to home-cooked meals. Now multiply this cycle by 5 days a week, and you start to see how small effects compound over time. This is the science fast food companies rarely explain, because it isn't about one meal, it's about frequency. Let's address a common defense. But Subway is still better than a burger and fries. In some ways, that's true. Subway generally has fewer calories and less saturated fat than typical fast food. But better than the worst option doesn't automatically mean good for daily consumption. A cigarette with a filter is still better than one without, but neither is considered a health choice. The comparison matters, but it shouldn't replace looking at what the food actually does inside your body. Here's a myth that surprises a lot of people. Subway's bread recipe isn't identical worldwide. Countries with stricter food regulations, like parts of Europe, require different sugar and additive levels in the same Subway bread. This means the sandwich you eat in the US can be nutritionally different from the same sandwich sold in another country. That's not a conspiracy. It's simply a result of different national food safety laws. It does reveal something important, though. The recipe was never fixed. It was always adjustable based on regulation. Which raises the real question. If it can be made with less sugar elsewhere, why isn't it the default everywhere? The likely answer comes down to cost, shelf life, and consumer taste preference for sweeter bread. Sweeter bread tends to taste better to more people, and better taste generally means more repeat purchases. This isn't unique to Subway. It's a pattern across nearly the entire processed food industry. Understanding this helps you see the bigger picture. It's not about one villain. It's about an entire system built around shelf-stable, crave-worthy food. Let's bust one more myth before we get to the final verdict. Eating Subway daily is fine as long as you stay under your calorie goal. Calories matter, but they don't tell the whole story. 2 meals with the same calorie count can affect your body very differently. A sandwich built on refined flour and sugar spikes your blood sugar in a way that whole foods with the same calories simply don't. This is why calories in, calories out is true for weight, but incomplete for overall metabolic health. Another myth worth addressing. Subway's vegetables cancel out the bread's effects. Vegetables do add fiber, which helps slow digestion, but they can't fully offset a base of refined, sugar-added bread. Fiber slows the rate of absorption. It doesn't eliminate the sugar spike. It just softens it slightly. So yes, loading up on veggies helps. But it's a mitigation strategy, not a solution. Let's also address portion size, because a foot-long sub isn't one serving. It's often closer to 2. Ordering a foot-long and eating it in one sitting effectively doubles every number we've discussed in this video. That single decision, 6-inch versus foot-long, may matter more than almost any other choice you make at the counter. So where does this leave us? Is Subway bread bad, or has this all been exaggerated? The evidence points to a middle ground. It's not poison, but it's also not the health food it's marketed to be. It behaves in your body much like other refined, sugar-added breads. No better, no dramatically worse. The real problem isn't Subway existing. It's Subway being perceived as a daily, safe health choice by default. If you eat it occasionally, your body handles it the same way it handles any indulgence, without lasting damage. The risk comes from frequency, daily or near-daily consumption, over weeks and months, not from a single sandwich. Simple changes make a real difference, choosing whole grain, halving the bread, loading vegetables, and skipping sugary sauces. These small swaps won't make it a superfood, but they meaningfully reduce the sugar and sodium load your body has to process. The bigger lesson here goes beyond one restaurant chain. It's about reading past the marketing and looking at the actual formula. Fresh, healthy, and low-fat are marketing words, not nutritional guarantees. The only way to really know what you're eating is to look at the ingredient list, not the slogan on the sign. So the next time you order a sandwich, you'll know exactly what's happening inside that bread and inside your body. Knowledge like this isn't about fear. It's about making informed choices instead of assumptions. If this opened your eyes to what's really in your food, you've already taken the first step toward eating smarter.